So, we might as well. I'm always a good guy. I'm dealing with the white elephant in the room. The white elephant is, I know no more than you guys know. Tragedy, what's happened. If it's happened, I hear it's happened. It's really a shame. I don't know anything about any of the details. I'm not going to answer anything because I don't know anything. If I did, I'd tell you off the record. Jeremy is coming back tomorrow, and he'll be with us here, rehabbing here. And other than that, as far as the incident, there were 2 or 3 people, I guess, that were shot, but I don't know any of that. There's been no police report that I've had. And so if there's a question, I'll try to answer it, but if it's not, I'm going to tell you I'm not answering, so go ahead.
How much communication have you had with him?
Oh, yeah, I talk to him every day. I tried to fly over the day after and got fogged out of there and fogged out of everywhere. So I spent half my Christmas Eve on an airplane flying around in the sky.
It's secondary, but his basketball for this year is done, isn't it?
Well, it's. I guess it's not 100% done, but it's secondary, meaning, from what we hear, if it was a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, it could have been worse. But so in that respect, he's supposed to fully recover. But the timetable on that, anytime you're dealing with a bone, puts the timetable in jeopardy. But I really don't know what it was. When he comes up here, we're going to have a meet with our doctors and specialists, and then we'll probably know more early next week.
Well, I was going to say, what is that plan for the next couple of days for him? Just kind of assess?
Yeah, totally assess. Try to get some idea what happened, try to get some idea where his injury is. Our doctors have talked to the doctors in the emergency room there, but there's been no specialists that I know of that have looked at anything, and that's what we'll do when we get him here.
From a mental standpoint, how's he doing?
He's pretty mentally tough, and I mean, he wants to get back here. That's one thing he wanted to do. The second thing is, I think you're always good until you get back here and you see the guys playing and you realize you can't play. So, that'll be something that we're all going to be concerned with. But there's one thing he is physically and mentally tough.
You've gotten some tough news over the years. How difficult was this call to take?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't difficult as some because there were some that were deaths. And but 5 in the morning to get that call, it was, I guess once in a while it's what's next. And yet, as I say that, there's a lot of people that are a lot worse off than him or me, and a lot worse off. And so I'm just happy, pray to God that he was alive and that everything was good. But as I said, what I've been through a few years ago, I think I can handle just about anything.
As far as how you guys move forward basketball-wise, larger role for Trey, is that kind of the main thing, or any other changes?
Yeah, I mean, as we always say, it's somebody else's opportunity, and Trey will be one, and Cohen, we're getting more ready to play more in the perimeter. We're hoping, as you saw, our boy is back walking around shooting and everything, but he's still a week or so away, or I don't know exact timetable. Last time I thought I had a timetable, and so the timetable would be he's working out now individually. He does some of the shooting drills with us, and hopefully by next week he'll be starting to practice. That's the immediate timetable I have on Jackson.
Sir, AJ, do you try and keep his minutes around the same right now, or do you bump those a little bit?
You know what? I don't know, but I know that AJ played 35, 36 minutes in games at the end of last year. Tyson did, Jaden did. We're going to have a good rotation. We're just missing a guy that was really coming on, and it's the way it is. But AJ's been really good. He came back. Weight was good. He came back, I think, in pretty good shape. I've been really pleased with AJ. So if that keeps continuing, that'll really help.
At the end of last year, you moved Tyson over to the point in key games and key spots some of the time. Is that something for a while you'd like to stay away from in terms of how, because you're relying on him so much off the ball? Or
yeah, the hard thing is I've talked to some NBA teams lately of who's trying to play guys that are two guards in the point and stuff like that. It's hard to be a scorer and and then you got to be the best defender. I mean, Cash could do it as a scorer
right.
and a passer. The third part was suspect. And so, Tyson is my best defender. And we're just trying to, I'm not worried about Trey can play some point. Tyson can play some point. Our rotation, 5 guys is a good rotation. Cohen's just got to come on faster than he thought. Trey, thank God, has been playing really good for us, and he's been one of the bright spots of the season so far.
Is there a trickle down to Garrett being maybe more on the verge of being called up, or?
Yeah, I've threatened that a couple times. Now that we're shooting it better, as always, I got to think of my team. I got to think of the individual, and so that's not in the mix right now. He's, he just coming off his injury with the foot. Thank God he's practiced good these last 2 days, so a little break was probably good for him. But that's not in the plans immediately.
In this holiday week, are practices better because there's other things not to worry about, or are they worse because they're not in their routine?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I think, in all honesty, they used to be better. But now, kids keeping their attention span and what they got to do. I thought we were really good yesterday morning. Last night, the second practice, we weren't as good. Today, we were pretty good until the end. I think getting up and down. But players haven't changed in 100 years that they'd rather play games than practice. Coaches haven't changed in 100 years. They'd rather practice than play games. So that's the oxymoron of the whole thing. But it is nice that they can get in and get a little extra shots up and get in and have a few extra meetings. And I don't get handcuffed brought to prison because I went an hour over the allotted time. So it's a pretty good deal.
Jason, you've been telling these guys in Indiana State what a threat they are.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you done any checking, but they're in the, they're in the top 20-some in the net. Their efficiency stuff is in the top. They're legitimate. They did lose to Alabama. Everybody says, well, they lost to the one Power 5 team they really played. But that was without Avila. Their center, who's, you could argue, is their best player, did not play in that game. So, this was, there's been scheduling things that have, but coming right back after Christmas, is, I said, the biggest upsets, and I'm not sure this is an upset anymore, but happened before Christmas and after. And, this is going to be a pretty stern test for right after Christmas. So people should know that we're going to need everybody here because this won't be the normal holiday game that you sometimes have. This is a team that has a lot of good players, has a unique system. They call him a poor man's Jokic, and I think he is. If you look at his assist, he's able to shoot the three. He can handle the ball. He goes between his legs, and he doesn't look like your typical superstar basketball player, but he is.
If you had Jackson a week later, might you throw him on the scout team for
this? It would really
this?
help. He would be the ultimate him, except he doesn't post as much. A lot of his stuff's on the perimeter, and an incredible team of backdooring. That ball, they go backdoor better than any team. Those passes are better than any team I've ever played against.
If that's true about Indiana State, going into the Big Ten, that's better than a cupcake blowout this week, isn't it?
Just depends how you look at it, Fred. That's like saying playing JMU the first game of the year is better. Personally, I think that's why you're a reporter and I'm a coach. But in all honesty, you never know how kids come back. Practices have been fine, but you go home, and especially this day and age, there's so much crap going on that you never know how they come back. But I know this, we've stressed it before we left for Christmas and after, that this is not a typical game, and which is okay. We've come back and had to play a Big Ten game a couple, before. It is what it is. It's the same for them as for us, but it's just getting the mentality right for our fans, for our media, for our players. Our coaches, no problem. We watched enough film to know.
How does Jeremy, not having him change defensively, what you guys have become there on the perimeter?
Yeah, Jeremy's, last game he had 10 assists, and he's a lockdown guy defensively. And there's no question he was getting better every game, just like freshmen do. I mean, it's going to be a loss for us. It's going to be, you know, thank God I said Trey is a pretty good defender. He's a very good offensive player, and he's been playing his best basketball. But you know, nobody just loses a player that's in their playing group and everything's fine. At the same time, everybody's got to go through it, and so there'll be no excuses. It's just sad that here's a kid who probably might like, love, or live. He definitely lives the game. It's important to him. It really is, and I feel bad for him. I don't feel bad for us. I feel bad for him.
How do you address it with the guy? Is it something you worry about?
You know, ironically, I knew at 5, and by 8, when I started calling guys, they already knew because he called everybody, and which is pretty cool. That's why he's a leader. But he had called a lot of the guys, and you know, I mean, everybody felt bad, and I think a little shocked and a little, wow, you know, this is where we're at. But this is where we're at, and so I don't wish that on anybody. I can't imagine the parents what they went through, but I addressed it with them as best I could. You know that we got to support him and help him through. He'll have some ups and downs, but we have to move forward too, and that's the way I addressed it.
One thing you said, he's coming in tomorrow. Is he well enough to sit on the bench, or do you know?
And I don't know that. I think so. I mean, I think he's. It's more in his upper legs, so that might be a little difficult. He's on crutches right now, but I think he'll. I mean, I know he can drive here, or he's going to ride, but I don't know whether he'll be able to be on the bench. If not, we'll get a spot for him.
Indiana State is averaging over 88 points a game. You touched on a little bit with Avila, but what do you see that allows them to be so dynamic offensively?
Oh, they got a couple guards that are averaging 19 and 20. I mean, they're not just Avila. Just Avila is a straw that stirs the drink. I mean, a lot goes through him. Saying that, they get a lot of threes. They got a great fast break team. They got 6 or 7 guys. They got a Wolf kid who's the son of one of our former players, Todd Wolf. So that's going to be at least interesting for their family. Now you're going to see a solid, well-coached basketball team, and it'll be an entertaining game. So come on out and see it.
With Trey, he's been more of an off guard this year because of the roles and everything. I imagine there might be some rust going back to being a quarterback.
Yeah,
now.
as you saw, because I'm sure you watched it for those reasons up there, you know, throwing some passes. As the practice went on, he got better at it, but there's going to be a little rust in those positions, you know, and, you know, which is what happens. You got to give and take, you know, maybe he'll be a little better offensively, not as good defense, maybe be a little better with his speed, not maybe as good with the defensive strength, you know. That's one thing Jeremy was really good at. So it's just disappointing because it seems like every time you get going, you know, but it just is what it is. And as I say, there's a lot of people worse off.